and welcome to Possibilities, the show where we give people living with a variety of different abilities and their loved ones a space to share their lives with the world. Thank you for joining us today, and here's your host, Danny Steeves.
Thank you, Andy, and welcome to today's episode of Possibilities. Today's episode is going to be all about overcoming obstacles when you are faced with life-altering injury and how you overcome those obstacles despite your life-altering injury. Julie Sawchuk is my guest today, and she was actually in a life-altering accident in 2014, I believe. We'll get more into that when she joins me in a bit, but she's really became a accessibility advocate as well as a motivational speaker as well as author. So we're gonna dive into a bunch of things today, and if you've been a regular viewer of my program, you will know that you will remember that when I first started the show, I had a woman's voice introducing me, and that was actually Julie Sawchuk. So we're gonna be talking to her today. So I invite you to grab a cup of coffee and just enjoy our conversation here. So she'll be here in a bit, but we'll take a bit of a break and come back with Julie Sawchuk. And I apologize if this episode will run a bit long, but we have lots to get through, so stay tuned. We'll be right back. And welcome back to Possibilities. Joining me now is Julie Sawchuk from Blythe, Ontario, Canada. She's an accessibility specialist, and as I mentioned in my other intro, she was in an accident in 2014, I believe. So, welcome to the show, Julie.
Thank you very much for having me on the show, Danny.
Yeah.
I'm excited to meet you.
So I want to first begin by take me back, if you will, to 2014. Like, what was your life like before your accident?
Yeah, just a little correction. It was 2015, but that's not a big deal. Okay, so I was a high school teacher, teaching at Medill, teaching science. I'm still living in the same spot, but we live on 10 acres just outside of Blythe. We call it Tiny Farm Blythe. And in that time of my life, I was training for triathlons. I was going to do the Goddard's Triathlon again in the summer of 2015. So I was doing a lot of swimming at the pool in Wingham, running trails and roads, and riding my road bike, sometimes my mountain bike. And that's what I was doing when I had my accident. I was on my road bike. I was doing a ride from home to Goderich and back again. So I was on my way home, and I was hit by a car from behind while I was on my road bike. And that.
Goodness. Do you remember much from that day? Like, do you remember being hit from behind or not?
No, I didn't have any memory of hearing the car come up behind me or anything like that. My last memory was being on Highway 21 and a car passing me really closely. So you could almost feel the side view mirror brush your body. And I remember thinking, holy cow, that was really close. And that's the last thing that I remember. I've pieced things together by what some people have told me because they were at the scene, and stories that people have said about what I was doing and that kind of thing. But I don't remember being in the ditch. I don't remember going in the ambulance. I don't really remember being at the hospital in Goderich. I do remember getting into the helicopter because I got airlifted to London because it was really loud and I think it scared me awake. But then after that, nothing until I was in the recovery in the critical care unit.
And what was that? How long were you in London Hospital?
I was in LHSC for about 10 days, and then I spent 12 weeks at Parkwood in their spinal cord injury rehabilitation center, where I learned how to deal with this new body that I have that doesn't behave like it's supposed to.
Yeah, and I want to ask you, what was your rehabilitation like? But first, what was your reaction when you found out that you were gonna be in a wheelchair for the rest of your life, or at least the foreseeable future?
I had a mixture of devastation and disbelief. I wasn't totally convinced that this was going to be my fate, because there's so much that's not understood about spinal cord injuries that the doctors really couldn't say 100% that I wouldn't be able to use my lower body. But mostly it was devastation. Like, how am I possibly ever going to return to my home, be able to be an effective mom, be a teacher, all of those kinds of things. It sucked.
Yeah.
Basically how I ran.
Yeah. So I can't imagine that going from like for me, um, being in a wheelchair is all I know. But for you, you were put in a wheelchair, so um, I can't imagine what that must have been like, going from an able-bodied person to a quadruple, uh, not not able to walk fully. Yeah.
Yeah, I was mad. I was really, really angry for quite a while. I was really angry at the driver. He claims to have not seen me. The police didn't charge him with anything more than uh, failing to give enough room on the left while passing. That was the charge that he got, the ticket, the offense. Um, I thought he should have gotten a careless driving or, you know, something worse than that anyways, but he didn't.
Yeah.
And I was really angry about it. And it took me some time to come around to the well, not the idea, but the understanding that he didn't do it intentionally. He didn't wake up that morning and say, I'm going to go and hit a cyclist today, right? Like, I know it wasn't intentional, and I know that, probably deep down he is incredibly remorseful, but also he never got in touch with me. But I don't know, that was weird. But I think I came around to sort of looking at it through his eyes and knowing that he didn't do it intentionally, and I've just had to let it go and move on. And when I was thinking about what I was going to talk to you about today, one of the things that I wanted to talk about, and you've already brought it up, is the fact that I came to this life of having a disability late in life. Like, I was 41 when I had this accident, and all of a
Yeah.
sudden had paraplegia, and all of a sudden was using a wheelchair. And it was a huge eye opener, right? Whereas you have lived with a wheelchair your whole life and don't know what it's like to not have to use a wheelchair. I went from doing everything to, like, not doing everything. And it's been a huge, steep learning curve for me, but also really, really eye opening at the same time. And eye opening, I think, in a good way, because it's, it's like, it kind of, it, pardon the expression, but it pisses me off that
Yeah.
we that use wheelchairs get the short end of the stick so many times in our built environment, right? And that's sort of
Yeah.
the direction that I have taken.
Absolutely. Um. Yeah, I wanted to talk to you about that because I'm curious. Did you have, did you have, being an able-bodied person, um, did you have any experience with accessibility at all, or what did you know about accessibility before you were in a wheelchair?
I did not have a lot of accessibility experience prior to my accident, but as a teacher in a high school, there were students in my school that had physical disabilities. Um, so I had some of those students in my classroom. So I had the experience of doing what I could to make them feel comfortable and have an accessible space to be around other students and try and do all of the things that other students were doing in my classroom. And especially because it was the science classroom, so we had to think a little bit outside the box for students using lab stations, um, that kind of idea. But honestly, like, has like 1%, right? Of all of the things to know about accessibility, I knew about 1%.
And you know a heck of a lot more now, don't you?
I do. I was forced into it, and I also have gone out of my way to learn not just about my own disability, but about other types of disabilities too. But still, I am only an expert in my own experience. I am not an expert in other people's ways of living with their own disability. And I try to remind myself of that I have, I've done some training with the Rick Hansen Foundation. So I am a Rick Hansen Foundation Accessibility Certified Professional, but I still don't know everything that there is to know about living with a disability. Not by
I wanted to talk to you about that later on, but first I want to get back to your rehabilitation. Like, what was that like for you? Like, what kind of things did they have you doing, like, when you were being rehabilitated?
Well, there's two kind of focuses when you're in rehab. One is learning how to deal with your body, and then there's the other one is the focus is on mobility. So the dealing with your body part is all of the stuff that the nurses are helping you try and understand and manage, like bladder, bowel, and skin are sort of the focuses in the medical part of the rehabilitation. So learning how to empty your bladder with a catheter, trying to train your bowels to have a routine, and understanding how pressure and sensation are different in your skin, and how to monitor your skin to make sure that you don't end up with pressure issues that can lead to pressure ulcers, and I'm sure you know what I'm talking about there. So there's like the medical part of the rehab, and then there's the physical part of the rehab. And for that, I did 2 hours of therapy a day, one with a physiotherapist, 1 hour with a physio, and then 1 hour with an OT. But overall, the focus was on trying to strengthen my posture and work on being able to just sit up and support myself, because my injury is T4, which is what they refer to as nipple line. So right around my chest is where everything pretty much stops. All the messages stop.
Oh, yeah.
And so I have no core strength to hold myself up. That's why my wheelchair has a pretty significant size backrest, because I don't have the ability to sit up independently. So a lot of it is about strength and core, but then it's about being able to transfer in and out of my wheelchair. We spent a lot of time doing transfers. Even just like learning how to put socks and shoes on was absolutely exhausting. The first time I put socks on, I think it took me 13 minutes.
Wow.
So it was all just incredibly exhausting and incredibly frustrating. And
Julie, I want to ask you this. During your habilitation, did you ever feel like, oh, this has got to be a dream? Like, someday I'm gonna wake up and I'm gonna be normal again. Like, what was that? Did you ever have thoughts like that, or?
I don't think I ever thought I was gonna wake up. But I didn't ever think it was a dream. I thought it was a nightmare, and that I wasn't gonna wake up from it. And I was definitely depressed. I don't know for how long, but for long enough. And yeah, I wish I wish it had been a dream that I could have woken up from.
So, um, you have done extensive, um, extensive accessibility. What can you share a little bit of what you are up to and how you got involved in the Rick Hansen Foundation?
For sure. It started with cowbell, I think. It was, they were still, they still had their plans on paper. So this was before construction really even began. And I thought, I really need to reach out to the Sparlings and ask them if they would like some help. You know, not at that point, really, that was only like, I think maybe I'd been home for not even a year. So I still didn't know very much. But I wanted to meet with them and just say, hey, you know, I'm here. And if you wanted me to have a look at your plans, I'd be happy to see if there's anything that you might want to add to your accessibility plan. And so I did that, and they responded saying, we were just going to get in touch with you. So it was mutual that we wanted to work together. So I met with them and their architect. We went over the plans. There was very little that they hadn't already thought of. But it was great to work with them because they were making their building accessible right from the get-go and were willing to do whatever was needed to make everybody feel welcome and comfortable. And so that was their, you know, like dream clients. Not that they were clients of mine, I was just, you know, volunteering to help them out.
Oh yeah.
So that's kind of where it started. And then I got involved a little bit with the Stopgap Foundation and got the high school in Wingham involved in building ramps for some of the downtown businesses in Wingham. And that was a great hands-on student learning project.
And how did that go in Wingham for you?
Yeah, it was really well received. People were really excited to be offered the ramp for free, and the students were really excited to be doing a project that they had meaning in and they knew they were going to see, you know, for years to come potentially, if the businesses would, you know, keep their ramps out and it got more people into their businesses. There was one funny story where students went to one place and they asked if they would like a ramp put in their shop for them to use. And the owner of the shop said, well, I don't need a ramp. I don't have people that come in here that use it.
Yeah.
Right?
Same here.
Yeah, you had that same experience. Like, knock, knock, hello.
Well, she was kind of a bit more blunt than that because I like a few about a year after I installed the ramp, I went to every single business in town where I got them ramp. And when I got to that business, I was like, so how's the ramp working for you? And they were like, we don't know where it is.
Oh man, no.
Yeah, we lost it. And I was like, okay, would you like a new one? I don't really cater to your clientele anyway, so we don't really need a ramp anyway.
Oh, how ignorant. Oh my goodness.
So I was like, we'll see you later then. Bye.
Danny, you're far too polite. That's insane.
What would you do in that situation?
I don't think I can say. It would be,
Please. I would not.
how do you lose a ramp? Like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
And then I would go on to some rant about, you know, the percentage of the population that has disabilities and the fact that they're losing all of that clientele. And I would go on. I am sure I would go on, and then I would storm out, as much as you can storm out when you can't slam a door behind you.
Maybe we should work together on a project, and I'll have you come with me, and we can see what gets done.
You're good cop and I'm bad cop.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I so you really think it's important to have a more inclusive wheelchair sign out there? Like, you get some more work with updating the wheelchair sign. Like, why did you feel like that was important?
I really like the idea behind the forward movement symbol. So,
Yeah.
you know what I'm talking about, but for everybody else, it's the symbol of a person sitting in the wheelchair, but they look active.
We lost you, Julie.
Now you have frozen. Can you still hear me?
Yeah, I can.
Okay, you're good.
I can hear you. You cut out for a bit there.
Okay, so just the idea of that forward movement symbol being representative of people with disabilities being active and not just sitting and waiting for someone to come and push them along, because that's kind of what the international wheelchair disability symbol says to me, is that they're just kind of, people are just sitting around doing nothing. Get out of our way, we need to park here because we can't do anything. But I think that new symbol is more reflective of people with disabilities attitudes towards life. Like, get out of our way, we've got stuff to do.
Yeah. I really like that. Now I want to talk to you about your house, because that is a big focus point. Now, you have actually written a book about your house. Can you tell us a bit about your house and what you did there?
We used to live in a 110-year-old farmhouse, 2-story.
Yeah.
And when I came home from rehab, that's the home that I came back to. And not accessible, as you can imagine. It's one of those old farmhouses that is the original farmhouse that's 110 years old, with one, two, three, four additions on it. And none of those additions were level with the original addition, the original house. The original house itself didn't have level floors inside. So getting around inside was a challenge just from a perspective of level floors. When you're using a mobility device, you're using wheels, you need a level floor, or you roll somewhere you don't want to go, right? So that was like kind of the minor part of living in this two-story house. My kids' bedrooms were upstairs.
Yeah.
Our bathroom was not accessible. We took out the tub and we changed around some cabinets in the kitchen, but that was basically all we could do without doing major renovations. We also had to build a ramp up so that I could get into the house. So we looked at whether we were going to majorly renovate the house. Oh, we also brought our bedroom furniture down so that we slept, my husband and I slept in the dining room, because that's where you want to sleep, right? In the dining room. So anyways, we had to decide whether we were going to renovate the house or build a new house. And eventually we decided that it was almost going to cost just as much to renovate and make it decently accessible as it would to build a new house. And so we took a lot of time. We did a lot of research about building for accessibility. I visited a lot of other people's houses, and we eventually came up with a plan to build, and that took about a year and a half. We kind of waffled a lot, and then we had, you know, weather and season change, and should we start now or should we wait? And so it took a long time, is basically what I'm saying. It took a long time.
Yeah.
And then the building process took about 8 months. But once we got in here, I realized how much of a difference it makes to live in an accessible space. I had a friend who, during the building process, was so excited for me because she kept saying, Julie, you're going to have so much more energy when you move into your new house. And I kind of didn't believe her. But then after we moved in, I realized how right she was and how much of a game changer it was for me to live in a house that had level floors and a bathroom that was designed for my needs and a kitchen that was designed for my needs. And that energy then I could take, instead of using that energy to go to the bathroom, I could take that energy and apply it in other ways. And so I had all of this information in my head, right, that I had done through my research and that we learned as we built. And I didn't want it to go to waste. And I had been writing a blog at that point in time, but I hadn't done really much writing other than that. And I thought, I'm going to have to start writing it down. I need to write it down and publish it as a book, because there's nothing out there to help people learn how to build a home to be wheelchair accessible. And so I thought, well, I'm just going to do it.
Yeah.
So I did. I wrote a book.
Yeah. And I have seen your house, and it is absolutely gorgeous. Like,
Thank you.
like when I walk in there, I look like, holy cow, this is gorgeous. Like, yeah.
Thank you, Danny. And that was one of our goals, was to build an accessible house that was gorgeous, because we wanted people to see that building an accessible house does not mean you're building an ugly house, or that it's, you know, got a big ramp, or that it's got lots of grab bars, or, you know, anything like that. We just wanted it to look like a regular house, and people wouldn't even notice that there weren't any steps coming up to the front door and all of that. And also we lived in a really old, kind of decrepit farmhouse, and we were tired of that. So building new, might as well make it beautiful.
Can I ask you a favor?
Sure.
Like, how accessible is are you on a computer or an iPad?
Oh, I'm on my laptop, but I can put it on my lap. Do you want me to roll around the house?
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
But I'll tell you what, we'll take a bit of a break, and then when we come back, you can show us around the house. So, we'll
For
take
sure.
a bit of a break here, folks, and when we come back, Julie will be in her house. So stay tuned. And we're back. That was a quick break, but Julie has offered to show us the outside of her house first. So take it away, Julie.
Okay, so it's a little bit awkward because I've got my laptop on my lap, so I'm going to like kind of turn it halfway and show you me on an angle so that I can see what you guys are seeing at the same time. So this is the end of the patio here, where we've got a couple of raised beds that are built out of cedar, and we're growing some, beans, cucumbers, snap peas, that kind of thing. And then there's the back lawn and some patio furniture that is accessible for me to get on and off of, which is fabulous. Patio table, this is like my dancing patio. And then over here, can you see the little half wall here, Danny?
Yeah, I can.
So this is my grass rolling wall. And what we did was we built, I didn't, but the landscapers built this wall so that it was at the same height, just about the same height as my wheelchair seat, so that I can transfer from my seat onto the wall. And then, boom, I'm right on the lawn. I love just laying in the grass. Doesn't everybody just love laying in the grass? So I wanted to be able to do that. So we brought the earth up to the wall. We had to move a lot of dirt to do that, but it's fabulous. And then we have a little bit more, garden and then another raised bed at that end of the house. And we're going to go in to go through the kitchen. So these are the patio doors. A little threshold there, but not much. Close the door behind me and we're into the kitchen. So we have designed it so that there's not a lot of upper cabinets and everything is stored in these lower cabinets that have drawers that pull out. Hey, Oliver, I'm on a call. So roll under sinks, one for dishwashing. Roll under cooktop so that I can get right underneath and see in the pot as I'm cooking, and the controls are on the right, so I don't have to reach over a hot surface. This is my prep sink that I can roll under here and scrub vegetables and all of that. This is my favorite work surface, the butcher block where I also sew, and it's like the breakfast nook and kind of everything all rolled into one. Kids and I spend a lot of time eating breakfast there. The microwave that's below the counter so that it's safer to get hot things in and out. Sorry, I'm going in circles. This is the fridge and the wall oven, but the door is at the height so that it opens over top of my knees, which means I can.
Oh, wow, that is great.
Right? Isn't that great? Because then you don't have to reach in and, fall into the oven like Hansel and Gretel. And then instead of having cabinets to store food in, we have a pantry where it's kind of just like being at a grocery store, and you just reach the things that you need. I often will bring like if I'm baking, I bring my mixing bowl on my lap. I hang measuring spoons in here, so I just scoop what I need right into the bowl, and then I don't even have to take stuff out of the pantry, which makes it super handy.
Yeah.
And living room, lots of big bright windows. In the old farmhouse, we didn't have a lot of light coming in, so that was one of our goals here, was to make sure that we had lots of daylight coming in. We rarely need to have the lights on during the day. We're going to go out the front door, so no steps. Little lip just for, you know, keeping the weather out. And this is the front of the house where my car is usually parked. I don't know where my car is. And the garage. I love having a garage. We didn't have a garage before, so to be able to go and get in my car without having to go out into the weather is pretty fabulous. The covered porch here, so if you want to be outside and it's raining, you can still do that. It's also my garage for my other sets of wheels, right? My mountain trike and my hand cycle.
Yeah.
And we'll go back inside. This is the mudroom where everybody puts all of their shoes and coats, and
Yeah.
try to keep a clear path for me, right? Dining room, laundry room that is behind sliding doors, which are really easy for me to open and close. And we didn't stack the washer and dryer because obviously I wouldn't be able to reach the dryer. So that has been working out really well. Then into our bedroom, we have a roll-through closet where my husband gets the top cubbies, I get the bottom cubbies, and everybody's happy. Then our bedroom, I have some exercise equipment in here, my standing frame and my exercise bike. I really should get into my standing frame more than I do.
Oh, you're frozen again.
Roll under sink, lots of storage for supplies, the toilet with grab bars on either side, and cubby storage beside the toilet in that half wall there. And the shower, the great reveal, is roll-in, zero threshold, so no lip whatsoever.
Wow.
Channel drain at the front of the shower, so it's all level one slope towards the drain. A couple of grab bars for support when the bench is folded down. It's exactly at the same height as my feet, so it's easy for transfer. And then, well, the shower wand and that I use and the shower head that my husband uses. But the thing that most people don't realize is actually an accessibility feature is the soap dispenser, so that I'm not juggling shampoo bottles and dropping them on the floor. And because I only have one hand really to work with washing my hair and scrubbing and whatnot, because the other hand I'm using to support myself. So yeah, there is my bathroom. Feel free to ask me questions, Danny. I know you've seen it, but if there's anything you want me to point out. And then we put in an indoor, it's called an endless pool. So swimming was a big part of my physical activity, and I knew it was something that I needed to be able to do as much as possible. And it's been really a big part of my recovery and my ability to stay active. I'm in it 2 or 3 times a week. I would love to be in it more, but you know, life gets in the way of exercise often.
Yeah.
And then way down at the other end of the house is what we call the West Wing, where my children are. And when you were here, Danny, it was really neat and tidy. It's not like that anymore. So just use your imagination, 2 teenage bedrooms and a teenage bathroom, and that's what it looks like, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Are you still there?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
I can't hear you. This happened to me yesterday.
I can hear you.
You can hear me, but I can't hear you.
Okay, so what we'll do is take a bit of a break and then come right.
I don't know what to do, Danny, because I can't. Can you chat to me or not in the chat window? Because I can't hear you at all.
Julie having some technical difficulties, so we'll be right back with more.
Here we go.
And Julie is back with us, so
sorry about that, Danny. I don't know what happened. Technology, right?
Yeah. So yeah, a few years ago, you did something that I always wanted to do. So can you tell us about your experience on Dancing with the Stars?
Yes. Oh man, it was so much fun. I used to love to dance. Not that my husband and I did it very often, go out to dance, but we really enjoyed ourselves when we did. And so I don't know, I guess I was talking to my friend Melissa, who had done it the year before, or was doing it at the time, I think. And I just thought, why can't I do that? So I went and saw Les at the bakery, and I said, Les, we need to dance. And he looked at me and he said, yeah, we do. And so then we made it happen. We started dancing, and then we got invited to participate. And I think we danced for a full year to prepare for Dancing with the Stars. For sure once a week, and then towards the end it was 2 or 3 times a week. And I love music, I love moving. It really helped me get some core strength and balance, and it was just plain.
So you got to pick your partner. And also again.
Oh, there we go.
Can you hear me?
I can. Yep. You froze for a second. Countrywide.
So I was saying you got to pick your partner for Dancing with the Stars, or how did that work?
Well, we kind of picked each other, and it was important from a number of perspectives, in that it wasn't far for me to travel to dance with him in Blythe, and he had an accessible studio, right? Probably, I don't know, but not every dance studio is accessible, so it was important that was part of the decision.
So why was it important for you to be on Dancing with the Stars, or do Dancing with the Stars?
I guess, well, aside from it being like important just for doing something enjoyable, right? Everybody needs to do something that makes them happy. It was important for me to show people that people with disabilities can do whatever they set their mind to, and dancing was that at that time for me. It was one of the judges was something that they said that really made me realize that I had done what I'd set out to do, and that they didn't even see my chair. They just saw me dancing.
And
I wanted people to see me for me, not me, oh, Julie, who uses a wheelchair, right? I just wanted them to see Julie.
and you actually got third place on that show, so good on you for doing that. So
Thank you.
and Les was the perfect partner for you. Like his choreography for you was amazing. Like, yeah.
And Les was really open to learning new ways of moving, because you really have to change when you're the partner of somebody who uses a wheelchair. You really have to change how you make your steps, and because he always ended up having to start on a different side than what he was used to. So that was a big challenge for him, but he was totally up for it, which was another part of it being fun.
And to tell you the truth, Julie, I actually saw Les when I was at your house there, and I was a bit nervous to talk to him, but now I wish I would have, not, because his dancing is amazing.
Yeah, Les is a pushover. You shouldn't ever be afraid to talk to Les.
Yeah.
He's a nice guy.
So, what dance was your favorite one? Because I know you did 2 dances. So which one was your favorite?
Well, they were both amazing, but I think the Lizzo song, the hair toss,
Yeah.
so much fun. And I got to put on attitude that I always have a bit of attitude, but I don't ever have that much attitude. So it was really fun to put on that look at me, I'm gorgeous attitude. It was amazing.
Yeah. And Scott Miller was the host, and he was hilarious. After you did that dance, because he was like giving you all kinds of attitude, and yeah.
Yeah, he's a fun guy. He's a great host for that show.
Yeah. Do you know if they're doing it again this year or not?
What I don't even know what month it is. June. I know they had started, but I don't know what is happening as a result of the pandemic. I'm sure everything's on hold, and they're probably just waiting to make any decisions. I haven't heard of any it's canceled decisions, so they're probably waiting to see when the province is going to lift restrictions.
Yeah. So I always thought that would be a cool thing for me to do. In fact, I volunteered as host of it one time, but they said we already got the host picked out for this year. Try again next year, so
There you go. Keep asking.
we'll see. Yeah. So, all right. We're running a bit short on time here, but I wanted to ask you, what would your message be to someone who went through what you did? Like, what would you say to them?
My number one thing that I try and remind myself of is it gets better. And tomorrow is a new day. I struggle with a lot of nerve pain, neuropathic pain that just is like I'm sitting on a block of ice. It's really, really uncomfortable. And the thing that makes it better is sleep. So if I can get myself into bed and remember tomorrow's a new day, I will feel better tomorrow. That's kind of my mantra now. But in terms of being newly injured, my message is it gets better. You don't stay in that state that you're in when you are unable to do anything or perform any of your own functions, like going to the bathroom, transfers, all of that kind of stuff. It gets better.
So, so I I really want to thank you for coming on the show today and sharing your story. But if someone wants to get in touch with you, how do they do that? Like what?
Thank you for asking, because I was just going to say I have a website that people can go to. It's juliesawchuk.ca. That's SAWCHUK.ca. And there they can use the contact form to send me an email, or you can just email me, julie@juliesawchuk.ca. If you go to my website, I've got some resources on accessibility. You can read my blog. And you can also get access to the books that I've written, the Build Your Space book about building my home, and the book that I wrote about recovering from a spinal cord injury that's called Roadmap to Recovery. So thank you so much, Danny, for having me. And Aga, it's about time that we talked, right?
Yeah, and before we go, I want to say that we are on the same committee together. It's called Changing Places Canada, and you can go to changingplacescanada.ca if you want to find out more about that. So, stay. Thank you for joining us today, Julie.
You are welcome. Thanks again for having me, Danny, and I hope to see you in real life sometime soon.
Yeah. Don't go anywhere because I want to talk to you a bit more, but I have to wrap up the show.
Sounds good.
Okay, so if you want to get in touch with me at the show, my email is possibilitiesshow@gmail.com, and you can forward me any questions, comments, or feedback on the show, and Julie's email again is Julie@juliesawchuk.com. Right, Julie?
.ca.
.ca. Sorry.
No worries.
So until next time, keep the gift out of disability, and we'll see you next time. Bye for now.
Take care, everyone.